Hey man, I'm sorry, but I have to ask, what did you do with your life? There was a time when I asked myself the same question, and let me tell you, the answer wasn't pretty. I mean, if I could have had a resume for my self-doubt, it would have been a masterpiece. But somewhere along the way, I realized something. No one has it all figured out. There were mornings I woke up, stared at the ceiling, and thought, what's the point? Like, seriously, why am I putting in all this effort when the finish line keeps moving? But in those moments, I discovered something incredible. Strength isn't about being fearless or having all the answers. Strength is about dragging yourself out of bed, even when all you want to do is cocoon yourself in blankets and pretend the world doesn't exist. I learned that every big dream, every goal starts with the tiniest, wobbliest first step. You know, the kind of step where you're like, please don't let me fall on my face. But I promised myself one thing: I wouldn't let fear write my story. I decided to take one step and then another, no matter how shaky or awkward. And let's be real, I stumbled a lot. Sometimes I tripped so hard, I felt like a toddler learning to walk. But here's the thing, I stopped seeing failure as the enemy. Instead, I started treating it like an uninvited guest who shows up with good advice after raiding your fridge. Every failure came with a lesson, and every tiny win, even the ones no one else noticed, felt like a secret handshake with myself. The truth is, everyone has obstacles. Life's not handing out cheat codes or shortcuts, no matter how much we want them. But I figured out that obstacles aren't there to stop us. They're there to teach us. Every time I hit a wall, I asked myself, okay, what's the lesson here? And yeah, sometimes the answer was, don't run into walls, but other times it was deeper. You know what really changed things? Shifting my perspective from, why is this happening to me, to what is this teaching me? Suddenly life felt less like an uphill battle and more like a scavenger hunt. One where you collect bits of wisdom instead of gold coins. Do I still get scared? Of course. Do I still mess up? Constantly. But here's the secret. I've learned to embrace the mess. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. One awkward step at a time. So here's what I want you to know. You are so much stronger than you think. Your dreams, they matter, no matter how wild or impossible they feel. And guess what? The world needs you, your quirks, your courage, your unique way of seeing things. The road ahead won't be smooth, but that's okay. Because every step you take, even the messy ones, are proof that you're growing, learning, and becoming the person you were always meant to be. So, let's keep moving forward, one step, one stumble, one laugh at yourself moment at a time. The story isn't over yet. In fact, it's just getting good. Hey man. Thanks for listening. Life's been a ride, hasn't it? I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd make it this far. I mean, if life were a movie, mine would probably win awards for most unexpected plot twists and best impersonation of a dumpster fire. But somehow, here I am, still standing, and standing a little taller too. You know, one thing I've learned is that strength isn't a one-time achievement. It's not like you wake up one day, strike a superhero pose, and suddenly have it all figured out. It's more like cleaning up a messy room. You don't have to finish it all at once. You just keep picking up one thing at a time until you can finally see the floor again. There were days when I didn't want to get out of bed. Honestly, there were days when my biggest achievement was finding a matching pair of socks. And let's be real, even then, They weren't really matching. They were just close enough that no one would notice. But those small wins, they mattered. They still do. I started talking to myself like I'd talk to a friend, with less judgment and more understanding. When things felt impossible, I'd say, "Hey, it's okay. Take a break, but don't quit." And yeah, I still argue with myself sometimes, but at least now, I'm on my own side. The funny thing about setbacks is that they're like bad Wi-Fi, annoying as hell in the moment, but they force you to slow down and think about what really matters. One day, after yet another setback, I sat down with a cup of instant coffee, because who has time for the fancy stuff when you're soul-searching, and wrote down a list of things I was grateful for. The list was embarrassingly short: my health, my family, and my dog who eats my leftovers. But it was enough. It was a start. I don't know who needs to hear this, but progress isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's messy, frustrating, and makes you question why you even started. It's like learning to cook. You burn a lot of stuff before you figure it out. And if you're anything like me, you still burn the toast half the time, but you eat it anyway, because life is about rolling with it. The truth is, we all need reminders to keep going. For me, it's this quote I stumbled upon during one of those late night, "What am I doing with my life?" Google rabbit holes. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, "I will try again tomorrow." That quote, it saved me more times than I can count. On tough days, I whisper it to myself, sometimes out loud, sometimes in my head, but always with a little hope tucked behind the words. It reminds me that strength isn't loud or flashy. It's in the quiet moments, in the choices we make when no one's watching. So, here's to us, to burnt toast and mismatched socks, to quiet courage and small steps forward. Let's keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Let's keep writing this story, one imperfect, beautiful, messy chapter at a time. Thanks for listening. Honestly, I've come to enjoy these little chats with me, myself, and I, because let's face it, if I can't figure myself out, I'm probably more lost than my Wi-Fi signal on a bad day. I wish you a blessed day, my friend, and don't forget, I love you. You are truly my only real friends.